Welcome back. We are here for the Between, Dancing on Strings, episode 22. All right. So we have one outstanding mask remaining. Mark, if you will be so kind as to read off the prompt and then
Yeah,
go
this
ahead.
is the first Mask of the Past for Treasure. The prompt says, narrate a flashback to your young adulthood before you were a servant that shows your most significant professional triumph. And I'll just preface this by saying that I'm interpreting that prompt quite broadly. Uh, so we are returning once again to the settlement of the Neanderthal people with the tall, craggy limestone cliff. And we're kind of up at the top of it, and it's casting this deep shadow onto the grassy clearing below. And as we our vision sort of soars downward, we can see that it's much changed from the last visit. The sort of chaotic, lively, vibrant energy of the place has been erased. And instead of drying hides and roasting meat and people circulating through their daily life in the village, we can see everyone moving very deliberately, almost in unison, and they're pushing or carrying or dragging large stones in the direction of the cave mouths, or alternately filing off in the opposite direction, presumably to get more raw materials. And as the cliff face and the area where the caves were comes fully into view, we can see that the sort of network of cave openings has been transformed into a kind of rudimentary temple, or maybe it's a fortress. There are enormous standing stones that frame the cave mouths, and there are tall rock sort of cairns that poke upward toward the sky. And the villagers seem to be erecting this massive wall of stacked stone, affecting a sort of courtyard or maybe like a stockyard. And we can see a dark-haired figure burst from the largest opening running. And we can tell by the demeanor and the carriage that this is not Kemuel, but rather Treasure. And from above, we see him rush towards some of the laborers. He's shouting, he's kind of gesturing them away, and they ignore him. So he stops one man, grabbing him physically, trying to turn him away. But that stone bearer just continues on, almost in a trance, completely heedless of Treasure's efforts. And he looks quite distraught, glancing to the left and right, and then just bolts off running toward the outskirts of the town, or the village, the settlement, into the sort of wooded areas beyond. And we next see him arriving. It's some fair distance away to a copse of trees where there's a small group of Neanderthals, two adults and a young child. They're digging with their hands and with branches, kind of unearthing this large, partially buried stone. And we see Treasure skid to a halt in the dirt, and he shouts, "You need to go now. Leave here. Don't ever come back." And a burly fellow rises with a smile. His eyes look clear and alert. They don't look like the people we saw earlier. But he says, "What game is this? You know we'll be finished building soon. And then you've promised a great ceremony, yes? We're working hard to complete everything just like you asked. We would do anything for you, anything at all. We just want you to be happy and comfortable." And we see Treasure sort of glance back over his shoulder, looking worried. And then a sort of hard look, determination settles on his face. And he turns back to the group and says, "I am not happy. Your work is terrible and you are pathetic. Nothing but a disappointment. You are banished from this village. Unworthy. You'll be forever shunned. If you return here, your fellows are to destroy you. Be gone." And the child is crying, and the man steps forward to speak, but Treasure scoops up a handful of dirt and hurls it at his face, and that stops him cold. And Treasure says, "Now go." And he lunges toward them, and they all kind of slink away off into the trees until all we can hear are the echoes of the child crying. And we see Treasure's face, and he has kind of a smile. It's sad looking, but his lips curl upward, and there are tears starting to well in his own eyes. And behind him, in the distance, we can see this billowing, shimmering cloud of orange and red and yellow, almost like fire swelling and engulfing the settlement.
Amazing. So we return from that mask to Hargrave House, where you have all come back from the fragrant void. Maybe you're still breathing heavily and rising from your prone or supine positions on the floor. And Portia and Isabel will come and help you. And strangely enough, Isabel will help you up first, of course, Val, and say, "What happened? It was as if you were just standing, and then all of a sudden you were knocked over like ninepins."
I don't quite know how to put it into words, but we were gone for what felt to us some time.
It was not but a few seconds.
Yes, that does not entirely surprise me.
And did you have like a buttoned up collar when you left? I mean, or like, like fully armored, like all the way up to the neck?
Yeah, I think I would have a medal. Oh, because I had her thing on, didn't I? And then disappeared.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I would start to remove some of the armor now that we're safely back.
Where did my locket go? I just given it to you.
I don't know. But it seems I must have left it there. Not intentionally, I assure you.
Oh. And she just nods as she turns to help like someone else up, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, Penelope is there, maybe semi-conscious, and Mari is there too, along with everyone else.
We rescued Cyrus and Periwinkle as well, right?
They're still in their marionette forms.
Oh yeah, they're marionettes. Well, at least they're here.
Do you show Portia? Maybe they're still in their boxes. And then Portia will come up to you, like whomever's up first, like still like, upright, and I don't see Cyrus or Periwinkle. Did you see them? Were they there?
Yes, they are here with us. And I gesture towards the box.
These are too small.
I assure you that life is quite livable as a doll.
I beg your pardon. Did you say doll. And she rushes over to the boxes, and like flips the lids. Cyrus! Periwinkle! I mean, like this look of, like surprise and horror on her face. And she will reach in and like, bring Cyrus's doll up to her and like, embrace it. And just like, start to just weep.
I think seeing that, Val will suddenly start looking for Mari.
She's there. She's just kind of stunned. Like, she's probably still kind of sitting up and stunned on the floor. Like as if she's like surprised and shocked that she's actually here in person within Hargrave House. Impossible. It's impossible that I'm here. And she just starts like kind of patting herself. I'm actually here.
I told you you had a choice.
It never seemed like I did. Like the strings would always pull me back. That I would be drawn back to the teatro. What time is it? And then she'll like get up quickly and then she'll run to the window and then she flings open the nearest curtain and then you see that it's still nighttime. Obviously, like when you decided to do this. We don't have much time. We saved Miss Levy. But if there's anything else that you need to do it before daylight. They're coming.
Who is coming?
Your colleague, Kemuel. Kemuel will come. They will bring an assault to Hargrave House. Kemuel will be able to enter the house. And she looks over at Treasure. I don't know what enchantment was used to push the spirit out of you, but the banishment will not work for keeping them out of the house because they have the crown. And then she looks at Daymond. Kemuel has the crown. The shadow crown.
I'll look toward Daymond as well. In quite an accusing way, I think. How did Daymond come to have the crown? I gave it to Mr. Grey for safekeeping.
It's the one who cared for the spirit, for Kemuel. Hattie is with Kemuel now.
I knew she was not to be trusted.
We retrieved the crown once. We can retrieve it again.
You will wear it.
Mr. Grey, I was about to accuse you of giving the crown to Kemuel. It seems I rather jumped the gun in that assumption.
You were right to be suspicious. Though, I would suggest in future, if you do wish to keep something secure, maybe don't keep it in a cabinet that I constantly remind people where the key is.
If Hattie had free reign of the house, she would obviously take full advantage of that for Kemuel's sake. She seemed quite fond of them. But again, we have until daybreak.
Mr. Gray, is there anything you need right now? Are you recovered from our trip to the void?
Daymond, I think, will look back at his hands, once again scarred with silver threads. There is one thing I can think of, treasure. And only you can do this for me.
Certainly.
In the moment, I will do my best to keep the seals that bind this house and bar Kemuel from it. I will most likely fail. When I do, don't help me. You have your own role to play. And I need that promise from you.
You don't want my help.
I need you to be treasure. I don't need you to be some factotum of mine. I need you to be you. I need you to live a good life, regardless of what happens.
Well, this seems to me like it is a good life, but nevertheless, you have my word, if that is your desire.
The fragrant void showed many things, and it showed me that you are far stronger than you think you are.
Perhaps then I might make up for the failure of our promise to Portia by doing what I can to liberate those children in Seven Dials.
Excellent idea, if that is what your heart wishes.
You hear a moan from the floor as Penelope sort of wakes and holds her head. Where am I? It's not the fragrant void. Where am I? Am I in England?
Come to Hargrave House.
I've heard of you. I've heard of you all, I think. Some of the theatre circles were talking about you. Taking care of some ghost in some house on St. James. Cremorne Gardens, something. I need to get home. I need to see, Bert. My friend, Bert Broadswell. What time is it? Is it too late for me to hire a carriage and get home?
It is never too late to catch a carriage out of Hargrave House. Let me take you to the front door.
Thank you. Thank you. And then she'll get up and smooth her skirts. I seem to have some vague memories of performing. It's almost as if I've never stopped. And then she'll look down at Portia, and Portia embracing the Cyrus doll, even though she can't quite tell that it's Cyrus, you know? Mrs. Abernathy? And no response from Portia except for sobs.
She appears to be more overwhelmed by the ordeal than you were. Let's at least get you home.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, yeah, take her to the door. Portia's sobbing. Marybelle, what are you thinking of all of this hubbub?
I think I'm actually trying to think of different ways to fortify Hargrave House physically. You know, barricades at the windows, things like that. Since Mr. Gray is the only one that can do magical stuff, I can't do a lot to help with that. But I can lift a bunch of stuff and break things. So I think actually I'm just in a different room breaking things to start making barricades for the doors and the windows.
Nice. Okay. Now
the first things I start to break are all Hattie's furniture.
Nice. I will say mechanically though, so the way it works is that again, this is still night phase, so you can resolve 7 mummers if you so choose. And get that done. And then the true assault on Hargrave House officially begins at the start of day phase. So, I mean, you know, you don't have to worry about it just yet, and then I'll get into the particulars of all that. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you want to, you know, to do some fictional things at the moment, you know, in preparation, or if you want to handle the 7 mummers just to complete it.
I feel like Treasure's got that.
Okay. Just put it on Treasure. It's all fine. It's all good.
I just like the idea of Treasure wandering out in the middle of the night to like solve a threat all by himself.
God. Let's just see. Hold on. 7 mummers.
Treasure.
Well, okay, so the identity was bumped up, and that's why you had that's why everybody had to do the 1 mask. So yeah. I mean, like, as far as we know, it was Matthew.
It was Matthew? Yeah.
Yes, it was like one of the children who was taken, but it was really them. And then 9 is the resolution of it. Basically trying to bring the lost family members back by creating the family through the children that he's taking with this weird entity spirit thing that ritual thing that he's doing. So in which case the 9 makes it dangerous. Yay. Is anybody going out with Treasure to help with seven mummers? Because if not, I mean, like, you know, you guys can do different shit in Hargrave. Leaving the Factotum to do it. I love it. Okay, great. Okay, cool. So, pardon. What is the plan? Are you going to let, like, Portia sob at the floor of Hargrave House during the night? I mean, like, what's going on? What are we doing about that part?
I think Treasure would go up to Portia and say, I owe you. I'm so sorry. This failure was all my fault. Mr. Gray did an extraordinary job keeping us all safe in the friggin' void. But due to my lack of understanding and failures in the final moment, we couldn't. Well, Cyrus and Periwinkle, as we couldn't reverse this transformation. I couldn't reverse this transformation. The failure was mine. I know it's empty words, but I'm terribly sorry. Is there anything I might do to... I'm sorry.
I don't know. They're just dolls. I don't know what to do about them. Without them. What do I do?
Perhaps amongst Cyrus's papers, there might be some hint as to how they might be restored.
This never happened. They are either brought to the void through the camera, or not. It's never happened this way before. Did you see? Did you close the gate? Did you see the presence? Did you see what brings the dreams?
Honestly, there were all sorts of people there, and it seemed quite a lovely little town. Penelope was performing, but she wished to come back, and Cyrus and Periwinkle were as you see them now, unfortunately. It seemed that place, we were all in some manner transformed by our trip there while we were there.
You, she wipes her eyes. You seem quite different. You're not as shy or as arrogant. You seem to be something different. So that seems to be the case.
Different indeed. It's cold comfort, but at least you have these remnants of them.
And I think this is where Isabel will come over and slip an arm around her shoulders and say, Miss Abernethy, I can accompany you back to the Society Obscura, and perhaps together we can find something in Cyrus's effects that will give us some kind of clue as to what to do with them. And she just kind of sobs a little bit more, but she wipes away her tears and assents without saying anything more. And she'll just kind of look at you, Treasure, and say, thank you. I'll do my best to try to comfort her. It sounds like you had quite the adventure. I too will also take a carriage and help take her home.
Take care as you do.
You as well. Thank you. And Isabel will accompany Portia out. Late carriages. All right. Val, what do you want to do now that Isabel's out of the way? And Marybelle's breaking things, and yeah.
I think I want to consult Mr. Gray on what we can do to prevent Kemuel from getting into the house.
Let me go over to Marybelle first. Fuck it. You know what? We're just going to do a blending of it because at this point, it's like we're just in no man's land. So that's what we're going to do. So the way this works, we're just going to start everything all at once because what the hell? Assault on Hargrave House becomes essentially, relatively active and goes until, the end of the next night phase. So yeah, like we're just going to keep going until we finish this session and then probably into the next one. Basically, you are going to answer the question, how do you defend Hargrave House from Ravenna Rossetti's servants? In this case, one servant, but Kemuel is going to be bringing some help, for sure. All right, it's a complexity 6, and then you resolve the threat by defending Hargrave House and capturing a servant. Ooh. And if successful, the servant will reveal another mastermind clue in the form of vital information about the plans of the mastermind. Okay? So, investigating this threat will mean finding ways to defend the house from and devising traps for the mastermind servants. Okay? So, let's see. Okay. And then it sort of runs a little bit like the same thing. So, I mean, you will have officially through day phase to try and gather ways to defend against the threat. And then, the attack will begin around the next night phase. But again, time is funky. So I'm just going to do it however it happens, however it suits the fiction. So don't mind me. We're just going to do this. All right. And then treasure, you're going to be seeing some timey-wimey shit going down, okay? I mean, just because you guys solve mean times doesn't mean that there isn't some residual effects, especially because you were in the fragrant void. So, hey. Fun. Okay. So, yeah, let's go with Marybelle first. Marybelle, as you're breaking things, what would you like to do as you're breaking things in Hattie's room first?
I think I'm having a conversation with the Prince's Rupert.
Yep.
While I'm doing it.
The regular one is on the floor meowing at you, and the other one is on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Meowing at you from upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite shocking, isn't it, that everyone was so upset about those two being turned into dolls. I'm a doll. My life is perfectly fine. Break. Hattie. Betraying us. I knew she wasn't to be trusted. What a weak little spineless break. And
then the Prince Rupert from up above will kind of because of virtue of their spider legs, kind of is able to do the upside down thing, but also turn their head like Cheshire Cat-like, and then just kind of, why are you so upset?
I'm not upset.
I'm just are.
Mr. Gray has suggested to Treasure that should things go wrong while we're being attacked, that Treasure should not be of assistance. Suggesting that Mr. Gray thinks things will go wrong, and he is willing to, sacrifice himself? Without any mention of it to the rest of us, as if we don't matter, as if we're just furniture. I'm a doll, but I'm just as much a member of this house as everyone else. And so is Val.
can only speak for himself. Maybe he wants to sacrifice.
Well, that's not fair. What about the rest of us?
Rounding to my first question, why are you so upset?
No! Break. I don't understand it. I don't want anything to happen to the people in this house. Anything bad, that is.
And
When we were in the void and I was stuck in that disgusting, squishy human body, I felt so vulnerable and small and soft. And I wonder if that's how everyone feels, all these humans here. But these people are my friends, and they are not like that. They're not like Hattie. They're strong, and they can endure, you know? They can do anything. If we're together, we can overcome this. Giving up beforehand. That's not fair.
Friends don't want to have friends get hurt.
Yes. That seems logical.
Which is why it sounds like Mr. Gray wants to sacrifice instead of letting Treasure get hurt.
And in doing so, hurting us anyway?
Does Mr.
How does
Gray...
he get to decide the type of hurt that he puts us through?
Does Mr. Gray know how you feel?
Of course not. Don't look at me like that, Prince Rupert, too. Prince Rupert, what do you have to say?
And Prince Rupert will look up at you and meow and rub against your leg.
Of course you agree with him. I understand that having friends is putting yourself in a vulnerable position. And one aspect of that is that it makes you weak, because friends are a weakness. They can be... There's leverage on you when you have friends. But I would rather have this weakness than not. Does that make any sort of sense?
Of course.
I wouldn't wish for a squishy human body. I wouldn't wish for the same ability to laugh as humans do. But I do wish no harm to my friends.
You may want to tell them that at some
Break.
point.
I think actually I'm going to also, as part of this is just like meta stuff, as part of setting up the barricades, I'm going to get Prince Rupert too to wrap everything in like spider silk to keep it all together as a means of like moving things around. And you don't need hammer and nails when you got Prince Rupert too.
Yes.
And Prince Rupert is also, a good alarm system, warning system.
Yes.
They're going to be very useful, I think.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like, if ever you want to do a information move in this blended time. I mean, like, just let me know, and then we'll come up with stuff that you can find, they can find, or a combination therein. Okay. Let's move on to Val and Treasure. What are you two doing? Where are you going, first of all? Are you staying in the ballroom? I think it was the ballroom that you were in. Or are you going elsewhere into the house?
I'm making
Map room. Thank you. I couldn't remember where you guys were.
I'm making what plans I can to prepare for Kemuel's arrival. Exactly what that looks like is a good question.
Do you have a destination in the house?
Well, the hall would be the obvious place, but then knowing Kemuel, he's not going to come in through the obvious entrance. So I strongly suspect he's looking for us rather than any particular place. So I think if Mr. Gray and Marybelle and myself can fortify an area of the house, ideally somewhere that Mr.
I'm sorry, just to retroactively back this up, just because I forgot about it until just now. It's like before Isabel leaves with Portia, she will tell you about the room that she had found, Dr. Weiss's lab, open.
Oh, that's a good point.
And the entrances thereof. Therein. But yeah. That is empty and open right now. So, given that, it's like, Val has sort of like, tried to search for places to go. We'll get Rob back in a little bit. Not Val, sorry. Daymond, where are you going to try and, seek out things to fortify? Or are you going into your room and such?
Mention of Dr. Weiss's lab gives me a weird idea.
Mhm.
And so I think Daymond would like to take off running down the street at the mention of the lab, catching up with Portia, and asking if I can have one or both of the dolls just for the night, with the promise to return them as intact as possible.
And Isabel will look at you. Is that wise, Mr. Gray? What do you plan on doing?
We're about to fight a doll maker. More aptly, a doll maker is coming for us. Would it not behoove us to at least try to unmake her creations? One of Valentine's comrades, companions, lovers, friends, mentioned that one of our associates from ages gone at this point left a room with some supplies of the scientific. And I'd like to see if I can undo what's been done to them.
I mean, she raised her eyebrows when you said lover for Val, and then she will kind of give you a sympathetic look and say, I believe I had gotten a glimpse of this doll maker you speak of, Mr. Gray. Godspeed. And she will, reach out a hand to clutch yours, symbol, like, a sign of, wishing you good luck, and then she'll urge the carriage on with Portia. But, like, getting Portia's permission to hand you hand you the dolls in the boxes.
And I'd like to take the dolls to Dr. Weiss's lab, bring cursing the entire time that I sent Treasure out, when Treasure very easily could help, lug the witch's cupboard down like 3 flights of stairs into Dr. Weiss's basement laboratory, huffing and puffing in the wrong kind of physical pain, all the while trying to get everything set up to do some exploratory rituals into what is possible when you have a human who's become a doll. And
Do you really think you're capable of doing this? Is this really what you want to do? Why don't you just give in?
I don't think I can do it. I think you can.
Why should I?
Because if you don't, there's the very real possibility that someone else gets to kill me. And you wouldn't want that, would you?
The push, the pull, the tug, the tear. How dare you tempt me? Fine. What would you have me do?
Would you like a chance to think about it? I go to Treasure.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, it agreed readily. That's frightening. That's gotta be bad.
It does.
Yes, I know. Can't wait to see what the roll looks like. Okay. Treasure, you head over to 7 Tiles, yeah?
Yes.
What's the
Yes,
plan
indeed.
to try and to resolve this? I mean,
I guess maybe based on everything that we know, perhaps go to the hovel or tenement or wherever where Matthew stayed before he supposedly vanished.
Yep. And mind you, you find out from the others, like Marybelle and Daymond, that they visited with like Father Sullivan, or like, made friends with some of the kids and all that kind of stuff. So maybe, you could conceivably go over and try to enlist some help, perhaps. I mean, so I'm just offering that up in case you wanted to, see about not going it alone.
Yeah. I wonder. Let's see. Was it the broadsheet that said that Matthew was the second person taken? Is that what that's from?
The second child taken the same. Okay, so Bridget was the second child taken according to a broadsheet from the local printer.
Mary.
Young
Bridget's
man
the
named
mom.
Matthew Murray, whom Mary attended school with, also disappeared after a visit from the Mummers. So yes, Matthew was the first.
Well, I don't want to go to the broadsheet guy because he tried to turn me into the police. So maybe to either to gather people from the pub or maybe to the school to see if anybody has seen any I don't know, knowledge of where Matthew stayed.
Probably people at the pub, most likely, to be able to.
Yeah, and maybe just to see if anybody's heard any like singing or chanting or anything in the distance.
The pub's actually kind of serious, like more somber than usual, because not only have the children kind of dispersed, so they're not necessarily with their families at this time, which is already terrible because it's like the holidays, and they're not able to be with their families because they don't want to be targets. But also, the rumors have been heard that the songs have been like heard, but of course, since the children haven't been found to be taken, it's like things have been found around, and it's just gotten more horrible, more sinister. Like, where like the heart was found in the moonshine, like now there's like more grisly remains, like, being found elsewhere nearby. And it sounds like the songs are getting more, yeah, just more creepy. So things are escalating very soon.
Yeah, so I think maybe I would tell the doorman at the bar, who looks like a burly fellow, to listen if I cry out, but then I will head in the direction of the sounds or detritus, that weirdness.
I mean, like, I think one of the key things that they say is, it's like,
one of the abandoned tenements over near Neil's yard. Strange things have been seen near there. You may want to try your luck there, sir. Hopefully it's all good and not terrible.
Well, my luck is due for a turn. And an abandoned tenement sounds like an appropriate spot where someone might be doing a ritual, so I will be off. Thank you.
You may want to get fortified by Father Sullivan. Always like up for a vigil, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes. I suppose the blessings of God couldn't hurt. Father Sullivan it is.
And he directs you to the church and such. So, no big deal. It's like, you're going down these alleyways and these streets, which in this dead of night, it's just so dark. They all look the same, but you get a decent, like, directions from the bouncer, and like, you somehow find your way. I'm also gonna say, it's like, you do have a little bit of residual from Kemuel's presence and possession, that perhaps it may not be as dark for you as it would be for normal people. So, anyway, you find your way to the church, knock on the door, and like, there's a bleary-eyed father, but I mean, like, he seems to be up and about.
Yes. How can I help you, my son?
Father Sullivan.
Yes.
Did you know the boy Matthew, who was supposedly taken by the mummers? Did he attend church here?
Yes, you say supposedly. What is that?
Well, I have some hope that we might perhaps track him down. And if you knew him, maybe your presence would have a calming effect. Were we able to retrieve all the children?
Were it be, there would be some hope to gather any of the children, for sure. Let me get a robe and the lantern.
Hold. And then he grabs like a lantern quickly from the side of the door, and throws a robe quickly on and such, and will come out with you.
Where do you think that Matthew might be?
The folks down the pub thought that the abandoned tenement might be an apt spot to check.
Be haunted.
Haunted. That seems like just the place we might be looking for.
And he kind of stops in the street and looks at you with the lantern full in your face and says, "Are we actually looking for Matthew? Or are we looking for Matthew's ghost? Tell me true, sir."
Yes, well, I suppose that's what we'll find out. With any luck.
And he kind of murmurs a prayer underneath his breath. Lead on.
And I think as they start to walk off into the night, Treasure will just be maybe not so quietly singing, "No, I am not Deidre O'Leary. She's at the workhouse, sore and world weary." "No, I'm not Edie Fitzgerald. He's with his bow getting thoroughly barreled."
And yeah, Father Sullivan will raise his lantern even higher, like looking at you like you've got 5 heads, and follow along. Going back to the house. Oh my gosh. Marybelle, what are you doing after you're getting well, I guess counseled by Prince Rupert II, and Prince Rupert I is giving you comfort? I mean,
I think I'm gonna go find try and find what Mr. Gray is doing. See if I can help. I can't imagine I find, oh no, that's the thing. I don't want, I feel like Marybelle would go help or try to help, but I feel like Daymond Gray bringing little dolls to life is something that it's fun. It's more fun for Marybelle to find out after if it works or not.
yeah, I think it would be kind of fun and creepy because it's like, if it does work, and then you get like horrible flashbacks into the fragrant voice. Oh my God, I would just die laughing.
Yeah, the implications of it are just too delicious.
Too delicious.
I think instead, I would like to go and...
Because I'm sure you do hear some sounds of like grunting, swearing, and, of effort. So
yeah, I think I'm going to still be mad at Mr. Gray for being wanting to be sacrificed. So I think instead I will be, gosh, what would I do? I want to help deal with the Hargrave House situation. Do we have any side characters that we are friends with? Do we have any?
Mari's here.
Mari's here.
But I don't know whether she'd be she might be helping Val, but I mean, Val is kind of like fade out of the scene at the moment. Side characters.
We have Dr. Millicent Bryant.
And the pensioner, too.
And Randall Newcastle.
Yes.
Randall
So
Newcastle.
look at all the moves that you currently have. So you do have Voidwalker now. You do have the pensioner move from Mean Times. You have Millicent Bryan. So I mean, you have.
We have the moves written down somewhere.
I thought that they are
on the Hunters tab.
Thank you.
Columns A through N, lines 70-ish.
Yeah, I didn't post the Voidwalker one in there.
I see them. Thank you.
Yeah, Voidwalker should go in there too.
I feel like I'm actually going to leave and go talk to James, whose name I don't remember.
James Allardyce.
Allardyce, yes, because I was the one who talked to him in the first place. Okay. And he seemed old and wise.
We can only hope.
Bit. Not fully in the present, but I mean that's kind of a human thing, so
yeah,
I can deal with that.
Yeah, it's all good. All right.
This would be a really good time for Old Bones if we had that move.
Sorry,
get Old Bones up.
Didn't give you a St. James Street ghost.
No.
All right. I love that move. Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's a great move.
So, happy great move. Okay. So, you visit pensioner. Yeah, you make your way to Greenwich and such, and like, Greenwich Hospital. I mean, it's a dead of night and stuff like that, but I mean, like, it wouldn't surprise me that Marybelle would be like, we can just cut to the scene where you're in his room, he wakes up and then sees you staring at him. Hi ho, so fussing a ghost, and like he just like starts like swearing, like as an old sailor would. What the hell is this? Oh,
Good
God,
evening,
you're
Mr.
gonna get
Allardyce.
hurt.
I'm Marybelle.
Yeah,
Do you
Yeah.
recall?
sailor heart attack. Yeah.
My apologies for my quiet entrance. It was necessary to avoid suspicion.
Yeah. Well, it's not so quiet now that I yell up a storm, ain't it? Shit.
Yes, that was quite unexpected.
Ugh.
Much of those words you spoke, I've never heard them before. Was it a different language?
What's Old English? Old English. Pit. Oh, never mind. What can I do for you at this time of night? As he blinks, and tries to see you clearly.
You are well-traveled, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And you are familiar, at least in theory, with things, people, items from other dimensions.
I do be, yeah.
My colleagues and I have just returned from the Fragrant Void, wherein we met a number of people who were supportive of our endeavors here in England. Do you know if there is a way I could perhaps borrow a boat, bring it to the void, and bring those people back temporarily for assistance? We have a grave matter facing us at Hargrave House, you see.
Okay, so go ahead and make the information move. Consulting James on any subject, increase the result by 1 step. Yeah. I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it works. Good enough.
If
All right.
anything, I mean, it's already going to get increased. Let's see if there's anything in my... Oh, no, I want to hold on to those things for now.
Yeah, don't
No! Snake eyes!
What?
Okay, that's okay. Increase it by 1 step.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what I was rolling with, but it doesn't really matter.
All right. You may not additionally invoke the Janus Mask. It specifically says that. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, increase the sub. Okay, so basically 7 to 9. Oh
Bad
wait.
first roll.
Okay, so wait. If you roll a 12 plus before increasing the result, clear a condition. Da da da. If you roll a 6 minus, James couches the information in a long rambling yarn.
Yep.
Take the condition red herring in addition to any complications from 7 to 9.
That's my third condition.
Oh Lord. Okay, you cannot. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So you do get a 7 to 9.
I deserve this. I scared an old man in the middle of the night.
Yeah, really do. You really do. So I think he kind of like, kind of like rubs his eyes, like, like tousles his head. And then he just says, it's like, a boat. A boat. Let me tell you about the time that I took the HMS Destiny. And I was taking my companions from, like, the shipyard from Portsmouth all the way over to the tiny 7 Isles of Kamina. And they also complained about the trip, and they were trying to make sure that they had
all the little nibbles that they wanted, and then they brought some tea that they really didn't need. We were just going from the shipyard over to Kamina, and it was just... And it just keeps on rambling on for a little bit. And, finally, when he gets to it, I mean, even your eyes would probably start to blink with exhaustion and boredom. And he finally gets to the point of, and sometimes you just don't need a boat. Sometimes you just need to know when the tide goes out enough that you can just walk the peninsula, archipelago, whatever the hell it is. Terms escape me at this time of the night. And just walk from the shore over to the islands. That's how close it was. Maybe that's what you need to do. You need to find the closest point from here to there. Does that help?
That does. I appreciate your assistance, Mr. Allardyce. And if we survive this, I shall come back and visit you for more stories.
Please do so when the sun is up.
Yes, I will be mindful of your need for sleep.
I have eyelids.
Unfortunately, I do not.
Yes, I've noticed.
I don't sleep either.
Yes, I can see that.
Well, good night. Turn and leave.
And then, basically we see the camera, see him just, grumble, 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 and then, take his thin blanket and then just, toss it over his head completely. Your complication, I mean, you already have red herring, but your complication is this. As you leave Greenwich, I think you hear a whisper.
Are you completely mad? You asking the doddering old man how to get us out of the void? You could have just asked me.
Well, you did not exactly leave me a calling card.
You absorbed some of my blood.
Disgusting.
Blood calls to blood.
I do not have any blood.
You do now.
Sorry, that's just a horrifying thought. Very well. If I am able to find this shortcut between the void and London, would you be of assistance to us?
Whomsoever walks the void is forever changed. And the answer to your question is yes. Of course. Anything for Hargrave
well.
House. Or I should say, anything for those who are of Hargrave House. Alumni, shall we say.
Very well. Do you have any suggestions on where I should start looking? Perhaps there is somewhere on both our sides, so to speak, that we would be able to find a doorway that is not the camera. And I think there's a cut to the camera, sitting cracked on top of a barricade.
Things that are larger on the inside than they are on the outside. Mirrors. Reflections that make things, or show things as they truly are.
as you saw when you were in the void.
Show things as they truly are. Very well. I have an idea. Thank you, your dukeship. I appreciate your assistance.
Absolutely. See you quite soon.
Goodbye. I don't know if it works with a voice in my head the same way that it works with other people, but I'm assuming that it does.
Or she's just humoring you and then just like kind of like still hovering in your like in your system, like sloshing around.
like back in the day when you would stay on the phone after you said goodbye to listen. Yeah.
It's like, hurry up and just hang up, you know? Right. Exactly. Okay, so that's Marybelle. And then back to Daymond sweating it up, dragging things down and shit. Daymond, you were dragging down the witch's cupboard and getting bitched at by your presence entity thing. So, what are you doing right now?
I think in the in the dragging down of things, I think I'd grab an item perhaps from each person's room on the way. From Val, I presume Val's personal library has a copy of Pinocchio in some rendition. One of Marybelle's spare doll parts. I don't think I need anything from Treasure's room. Just spend some time going through all the ritual books, perusing through the almanac, having a conversation.
You do realize that you do not have the almanac anymore. The almanac is gone.
That is most unfortunate.
When you discover the almanac is gone, you hear a laugh from inside.
Missing your friend.
You never did like to watch. Such a shame with you.
I don't like to read.
Oh, you missed out on some of the best parts. There was so little reading when she was involved. Plenty of paper cuts, though.
Now someone else gets to read. Huh?
In that case, place down the copy of Pinocchio. It probably won't be needed. Place down Marybelle's doll part, and I'd like to sit in front of, I presume, in Dr. Weiss's lab, there's a tank. Something, it's got a reflection, and I can look at myself without actually looking at myself. Well, if you're running this show, are you going to show off what you can do with these? How you can create life from nothing with the merest hint of someone else's work?
Are you daring me to do your work?
Well, no, I'm not daring you to do anything. I'm asking if it's even within your wheelhouse. Because everything that you've helped me do is rather mundane, wouldn't you say? A pre-described list. It's as if you wrote down words for me to read. And if I shouldn't be reading, if you don't want to read that very list, Don't you want to show that you're stronger?
Start your ritual.
Daymond Gray will take off the burgundy suit coat that he's had on since the picture, roll up his sleeves, preparing to get his hands bloody. And I think that it's at this moment, as he's actually looking at his own veins, that he'd see just how pale his skin actually is after coming out of the fragrant void. But push it back. It's a concern for another time. And this time he'll grab and twirl one of the threads on his upper lip, right about where his mustache lies, and begin to curl it around his finger, inhaling deeply as the pain takes hold. I presume for the rites of salt and smoke, we let the entity take the hands.
Still got to roll with sensitivity.
Yes. That's going to be after modifiers a 10.
Nice. Okay. Magic works. um, without further cost, choose your effect.
Presume it's doing something beyond the limits, beyond human limits.
Yeah.
And without paraphrasing from the Facsimile's playbook, I'd like to try and bring these two dolls back to life of their own free will.
Okay. Tell me what you think it looks like. Your entity, like, just taking over and doing this with the pull of your physical pain and the threads. And I'm going to say, just to continue on the fiction and your complication, Marybelle, I think as this is happening, you somehow see the lights or the energy, and you are drawn to it, and you are either stumbling into the room or you are able to see it from outside as you return to Hargrave House. You are able to see this happen. You are able to see what Daymond Gray is able to do. So, tell me, Mr. Gray, what this looks like as Cyrus and Periwinkle are brought back to human form.
This doesn't look like any of the rituals of times gone by. No staring up into that great bluer than blue sky. No calling, acting as a beacon in the dark. This is a mask applied on top of Mr. Gray's face. It is black and it is haunting. His eyes, probably the only things in control of themselves, and they grow wide with terror. The hands at the end of his arms aren't his. They are silver gauntlets moving at a speed that would make the spider silk seamstress envious. There is blood that would make the Duke of Blood pale at the sight of it. Hands moving quickly, superhuman, cutting strings that not even Daymond Gray could see. And before as these two forms lay on a workbench designed for cadavers. The body of Daymond Grey turns with a jerk towards that body part of Marybelle's that he was planning on returning. Before the spirit, that darkness within Daymond that he has brought out for just a moment, begins to consume chunks of porcelain lodged down the gullet, mechanical machinations munched upon. There is the crunch of gears and the slurp of a small spark as I leave it to you, Mads, as to how these dolls come back to life.
It's as painful as it looks because they are stretching and they are breaking out of the smaller forms, wooden forms that they were compacted in. And you're literally seeing these wooden forms break apart and jerk and stretch and grow and go from wood into flesh. And you see them reform into their original bodies and breathe, take a breath that is almost too painful to watch. And like they're shuddering and shivering as because they're naked, of course, and they're just like trying to reorient themselves in a form that they hadn't felt for what seems like ages. And they rise from the slabs and just look at you with like unseeing eyes. But it's them. You know, they finally start to come back to themselves after the pain starts receding and will slowly take in their situation and, you know, start to come back to themselves. But confusion and just exhaustion from this transformation back. And so they are whole, they are human, and they are conscious, but again, just addled with being brought back. And
I feel like this would be a very good moment for Marybelle to make her entrance into the room.
yes,
Being almost summoned.
Yep.
In a way.
Did you see first like the transformation back, or do you think you just burst into the room? What do you think?
I think the only thing I see right now is Mr. Grey with this horrifying screaming face and these horrifying silver hands.
Yeah.
And my first thought is to cut his hands off.
Yes.
Yes.
Damn! Night, move. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Sure.
Yeah. Is this with sensitivity because Mr. Grey's a weirdo?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah. Things could go wrong. What do we think will go wrong? Let's see. What do you think will go wrong, Marybelle?
I'm worried that I'm too late, and whatever entity that controls and pulls at Daymond Grey's strings is taken over.
So much so that it's worse that this entity, maybe not completely Daymond Grey, but definitely the hands, where both hands will, instead of you taking them out, they will grasp you and start to tear you apart.
Yeah, that's worse.
Limb by limb.
I'm just a little doll. Okay.
They don't care.
I think I think I'm going to try and mark my flawless suit or gown if I can think of a way to do it. I'm just rambling for a moment while I think, and I think the answer is, I think to how Mr. Grey is not quite to like Kemuel's sort of avant-garde outfits, but Mr. Grey is often very meticulously tailored, always very on point for the type of how he wants to give himself off, how he wants to present himself to people. And this look right now is horrifying, and it's a mismatch to how he looks. And I think about how I look in this perfectly flawless gown where it looks like something a human woman would wear. It looks beautiful and fantastical, but I look so much more like a strange doll in it. It isn't me when I wear it. And I think I'm seeing that right now in Mr. Grey, where he's wearing this horrifying mask that's not a mask. Can I get advantage?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh wait, hold on a second. Let's look at your conditions.
Oh no, no, not my conditions. I have so many.
You have so many, and that's what we have to worry about. So yeah, hold on a second. Let's take a look.
I have mourning is compulsory, spanner in the works, and red herring.
Oh, I think spanner in the works is going to mess you up.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
So straight roll with sensitivity.
Straight roll. Please. All right, trophy dice. The sensitivity, that's an 8.
Okay, cool. All right.
Want me to do the narration of what I do and you can narrate the complication?
Yes!
This is a lab where Dr. Weiss was dissecting, cutting up, reattaching limbs to things. There are absolutely, definitely tools here that could be used to remove a limb from a body. And I think I grab whatever is closest at hand. A large, it's a knife. It's a BFK, It's this big fucking knife. It's like a scalpel, but it is used for quick and dirty amputations, which is what I'm going for here. Oh, I think Mads, you recommended a bone saw, and that would be useful if you're going for something slow and methodical, and I am not. And I think there's just a shunk and a squish sound as the hands fall to the floor. Mr. Grey, what have you done?
And it's just Daymond coughing up silver threads as if blood was falling out, but he has none to give. Valentine made a promise, and we had to keep it.
Look at you. You go on about how you do not want your strings to be pulled and how you don't want to be under the control of others, and then you go and bargain with this entity of yours to do this. And I think I'm unscrewing my hands as I talk. Because my doll parts right now include my galvanic cardioverter, where I can remove appendages and retain control of them remotely. And I think I'm just removing them, and I'm sticking them on the bloodied stump where Daymond Grey's hands were, and tightly winding them on, tightly bandaging them up, in hopes that this will. I'm good at doctoring. This could work.
I mean, I think it's like so terrible. I mean, it's terrible enough that you hear that laughter, that guttural laughter that I just made, coming from somewhere. And I think you start to realize that you hear screams from behind you as the reawakened and reformed Cyrus and Periwinkle are clutching at each other on the slabs, like completely naked, and just screaming at what they just saw. I mean, this doll coming in, chopping off hands and arms or whatever, and then just you know freaking the fuck out, and then your complication.
Welcome to Hargrave House, kids.
Welcome to Hargrave House, kids. I think those hands, those silver gauntleted hands that you chopped off, at the laughter, they rise of their own volition onto the fingertips, and they start to crawl. They start to crawl quite quickly, and they crawl up your form, up your body, and they will...
Also, Jeremy, if you want to add any narrations, any, rewinds, rewords, this is your character, so.
Yeah, exactly. Jeremy, please tell me what Daymond Gray's hands will do after they've gotten chopped off.
Give me a sec while I double check the safety tab. The hands move, crawling up Marybelle's form. And they manage their way under your dress, under the porcelain that makes up your skin. And you can still feel, I don't know if you can feel, but there's still a tapping that can be heard, the tapping of fingernails crawling across a table. And though you can't feel it, the two hands are deeper inside you than probably anyone's ever been since your creator made you. And they'd managed to tap their way up the inside of your leg, not like the inside of a thigh, the inside of the leg where bone and muscle would normally be, and up to where a rib cage would be, to where a heart would be, and they try to grasp it. They try and crush where a heart would be. And if you don't mind, Amanda, I think that Marybelle would almost instinctively reach the stumps at your own chest and attempt to pull the hands out. And so we fully swap hands. You've got a pair of human hands.
That's awesome. All right, so you've got Facsimile hands that may or may not be able to be controlled by Marybelle, and Marybelle has demon hands that are silver.
Yes.
Cool.
And
this is gonna go really well for our...
And there are probably two dolls brought to life in Cyrus and Periwinkle screaming at the top of their lungs in the bathtub.
They are. We're cutting away at that one because they're screaming at the top of their lungs for sure. So sorry, Daymond. Condition. Facsimile hands and Marybelle. I don't know where to put it.
Can I change that condition to bare arms?
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
If you give me a condition, I have to mark a mask. That's not a big deal because I have lots, so.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I'm gonna take spanner in the works out of play because I feel like if I had a spanner in the works, it got crushed.
Yeah, yeah. So basically you change it to silver human demon hands. Oh my god.
Incredible.
Amazing.
And yes, I will mark I will mark oh, this feels like Mask of the Future. Yeah, I'm gonna mark a Mask of the Future.
Okay. All right. Welcome back, Val. Val, you have Mari with you, and you hear screaming coming from the lab, from Dr. Weiss's old lab. I don't know if you want to do anything about that, or if Mari's staring at you like, what do we do now?
I can't ignore it. Yes, I will go and see what on earth is going on.
And yeah, so if you head down to find out what the hell's going on, yeah, you'll see the wide open door of Dr. Weiss's lab. You'll see screaming Cyrus and Periwinkle, fully restored to their human selves, sitting up on the two slabs in Dr. Weiss's lab, completely naked, but clutching each other because they've been just horrified by what they just saw. You see what looks like silver liquid, like kind of spilled out on the floor. And then basically Marybelle and Daymond looking with surprise, shock at each other's hands. Daymond's got what look like Marybelle's hands, and Marybelle seems to have silver human hands at the moment.
I look from one to the other and back again.
And Mari's like kind of cowering behind you. What is going on? We should get the two gentlemen out of here.
Mr. Gray, do you have this situation under control?
Mr. Abernathy, Periwinkle, please, come towards me. Please.
And they will like scurry off of the tables and make a wide berth around Marybelle and Daymond Gray to come over to Mari behind you, Val.
Val, I know you just showed up, but I would like to do my mask.
Ooh.
It'll be fast, and it'll be...
What is it?
It won't be a flashback.
What?
The Darkened Threshold. Narrate a scene in which you lash out destructively towards yourself or another person out of your frustration over your inability to feel. I'm going to skew this one a little bit. The intent is inability to emotionally feel. And what I'm saying is I cannot feel my hands. I think the hands have a little bit of control that I don't. And I think I would be in a situation now where I, because of the Darkened Threshold, lash out destructively, I suppose, towards myself. I think that makes the most sense, rather than I've already put Mr. Gray into a lot of harm. So I think the hands suddenly reach up to Marybelle's head and start trying to pop it off.
I will try and stop you.
Night move. What do we think will go wrong?
Well, I don't really know what's going on or who is in the right or the wrong here. I don't really know what Marybelle is capable of if it comes to me having to physically restrain them.
I think it could go wrong in the way that in your attempt to try and get Marybelle to stop, you inadvertently and accidentally, I mean, like, it's not like, you know, she's trying to do it, but I mean, they're trying to do it, but you end up getting those hands on yourself and the action continues. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't want weird hands at this point. So
just no. I mean, in terms of, like, you know, the hands will start to try to pop
I see.
your head off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, vitality.
Well, it's not my worst stat.
You have anything that you have to help you out with this?
I'm just looking at that. I do have Prince Rupert unmarked. And we know that Prince Rupert is is like close with, or Marybelle has become quite attached to Prince Rupert.
Right.
So I think if Prince Rupert makes an appearance at this moment, chooses just this perfect moment as with the timing that only cats can have.
All right. I will let you have an advantage with this, and then, like, if it succeeds, then you can narrate how Prince Rupert helps you.
So this is with advantage, right?
Correct. If this doesn't, of course, then you can say how Prince Rupert fucks it up for you, but yeah, whatever.
I'm glad I rolled with advantage. I got a 5, a 2, and a 1. So that's a 7, 8.
Okay.
With my vitality.
All right. Okay. So narrate how you succeed with Rupert's help, and I'll give you a
I think I
confirmation.
lunge toward Marybelle as she's trying to lunge toward Daymond Grey. And I managed to intercept her, and her hands are about to go around. Or I think she ends up with one hand on me and one hand still reaching toward Daymond Grey.
No,
And
they're trying to pop off their own head.
Oh, their own head. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, and yeah, I think she ends up with one hand holding me, grasping me by the neck, and the other hand still trying to pop the head off. But you don't really have the leverage to do it from just one side, right? And I think just as Val is almost choking out from this mechanical, well, it's not a mechanical hand, it's a silvery, and you'll have to explain to me what it's going to feel like. But I think just at that moment, Prince Rupert kind of comes around the door, rubbing his body against the door frame, and Marybelle catches sight of him, and there's the pause that Val needs to take control of the situation physically. But there is a complication, right?
Yeah, I think we'll leave you. We'll cut away at the tussle between the pause of Marybelle seeing Prince Rupert there, and then maybe Prince Rupert gets close, and that's where the pause happens. And then we're going to cut away to Treasure. Treasure, you make your way with Father Sullivan as you're calling out and basically goading Beelzebub as you make your way closer to Neil's yard and the abandoned tenement. All of the windows here, again, because it's so dark and it seems to be a moonless night, in the light of the lantern, of the lone lantern, those windows of the abandoned tenement look like dark voids. Every one of them. But you call out.
Yeah, I think Treasure pulls the red scarf kind of up a little, around his face, and pulls the hat low and says, "Guess who I am? Matthew? Guess it correctly and I'll grant you a boon."
You hear the strains of a violin. You hear the beat. It starts off very softly. It gets louder. And you see, you see two glowing eyes coming from the doorway of the tenement. And then behind them, other sets of eyes in that line that was established before. So they are fourth in line, and then all of the others falling in behind them. And you see the stick at their waist. It is not being beaten by them. It just seems to be hanging loose and then just kind of beating against the ground randomly. But they have the violin in their hand, and they are not playing it just yet. They're just merely strumming or drawing the bow a little bit. And they're looking at you and saying,
Guess who I am? And I'll grant you a boon, you say. What makes you think you've guessed correct?
I would speak with you, Matthew Murray. I would speak with you before everything gets too out of hand, before your losses are irreconcilable.
No, I'll gain them all. They'll join me.
and he starts to play the fiddle. And Father Sullivan, behind you, you start seeing the lantern light jittering behind you. And as he says, What is this madness? I can't stop dancing. Get him to stop. Get him to stop. And you need to make a night move. Otherwise, you will start dancing too.
Gotcha.
Until dawn.
All right. With what is that? With what do you think? Sensitivity or vitality for that? Or composure, I suppose.
Sensitivity, because it's
Sensitivity, that makes sense.
because it's Beelzebub.
That's a 0. That is a 0. Let's see. Right. Yeah, the only condition I have is my house is my protection. Do we think that's affecting this?
No. But I mean,
Okay.
like, if you have anything that you want to recall in your personal quarters to help you, then
Got
you
you.
use it.
Let's see. It's a night move. So I guess what I'm worried about is that that I'll become one of the mummers.
Yeah. I mean, you will become one of the subordinates, and you will find yourself, and this is a different kind of possession. I think it's even more scary for you because instead of being a ride-along of something inside you, you are being controlled as a puppet that you can no longer really control yourself because you are, well, you have someone else controlling your actions from the outside, which may feel even worse. So,
I think maybe the way that I will approach this is to try to kind of dance toward them, and maybe with my umbrella, not with the sword, but rather turning it around with the handle, try to see if it could hook the violin, perhaps.
perfect. All right. Let's mark it off and then use it with
Advantage.
advantage.
Right. That is, what did we say, sensitivity?
Yes.
Oh, shoot, that's still a 6.
Ho. Well, I mean, you hear the grin and happiness in Matthew's voice as he plays.
Dance for me, dance! You, too, will join my mummers. be part of the family forevermore. We will all have everyone dance into the night.
And as he plays furiously, Father Sullivan is, just human, and then just kind of crying out, like, feeling like his feet is bloody, he's getting tired, and he's just like, falling into exhaustion. But you are of a different stock, Treasure, unfortunately. You know what this is like. And you dance towards Matthew, and you find yourself joining the line. Maybe at the end, because you're new, but you see yourself like almost somehow finding a mask, or pulling your scarf even further up on your face. Something. I mean, like, you find yourself feeling transformed, and you feel that loss of control, and you feel the joining of your senses and your spirit to Matthew and the rest of the mummers, where you are no longer claiming yourself. You are now part of them.
And I will mark a mask to keep that from happening.
Yup. Which mask?
I think I'm gonna mark the darkened threshold. But I need to.
You don't have to do it now.
Yeah, no, I'll need to. There are a couple things I might need to check with you about in between game.
Sure.
To make sure I don't do anything that would be disruptive.
We'll discuss it. Yeah, I haven't taken a look at it yet, but we'll discuss it. All right. 7 to 9. That doesn't happen. So tell me how you get the fiddle away from Beelzebub and disrupt what they're doing.
So I think Treasure dances towards them and is kind of able to hook maybe the arm that's holding the bow,
mm-hmm.
to kind of pull it off of the violin so that the music stops. And I think maybe in the process of that, Treasure loses his balance and trips and kind of lands right at the feet of Beelzebub and says, Matthew, you need to stop this nonsense. That blackguard with the 7-pointed star has put this devilry in your head. This isn't the way to get them back. I know all about loss. It fits me as well as this suit. But you can have a family again. You can find people that love you. But you have to stop.
A pause from Beelzebub. And then it's like they shrink as you've taken the fiddle away, and the monkey stick drops from their belt. And they tear the mask off and then look at you, and you see this scared little boy, 9 or 10. What you mean? They're all gone. They died. Constables didn't give a shit. They're dead. It's the only way to get them back.
This won't bring them back. This isn't the way. You've suffered a great wrong, and I can't make that right. But think about what you've done, what you are in the process of doing to your friends, to the children, to your schoolmates.
They'll be with me. They'll be my family.
Do you love them?
They will.
If you love them, and they love you, you can make them your family in a better way.
How close are you to Matthew?
I think still like right at his feet.
I think he kind of like falls down into a kneeling position. And like you see him like right next to you, and then you see the tears are streaming from his face. I'm lost. They're all gone. They're all gone.
Matthew, there was a time when I thought I had lost everything. And a very remarkable man gave me hope. And I know it probably feels like you have no hope left in you. But I would hope that I could give mine to you. Would you like a new home?
I got no home now, sir. I got no
Well, let's see if we can find you one. Will you come with me?
And he just looks at you with the tear-filled eyes, and maybe like, just gives a single nod as Father Sullivan has collapsed behind you, panting after the fiddle song, and just says, just a wee bit of faith. Just a wee bit of faith. And
Thank you, Father. Your prayers were invaluable.
And I think this is where he kind of collapses, like, face down on the cobblestone, and just kind of like tries to get some breath back. But yeah, that's the tableau we leave you. And yeah, the weirdness over at Hargrave House. I don't know. I mean, aside from Mari getting Cyrus and Periwinkle away from the weirdness that is you three, yeah, I mean, how do you want how would you like to resolve this for your particular unseen / night phase?
When Marybelle, when something happens, when she sees Prince Rupert, maybe she gains slight control for a moment over the hands.
Okay.
Seeing, her little friend that she pets every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, yeah, Val, that's when you take your moment.
What are you two doing? If Mari is right, we have hours at most before Kemuel is here.
I'm doing nothing. The hands, they're acting of their own accord.
Daymond would stride over to Marybelle with an unusual confidence. And I'd like to grab my hands with your hands and stop your hands and stop my hands from strangling you with your hands.
Yes.
And Daymond would turn to Val. And now we know a way to undo the puppet mistress's work.
You may need to explain that to me a little more, Mr. Grey.
What were Cyrus and Periwinkle before you left them, when you last saw them? They were marionettes, were they not?
You found a way to cut the strings? But something tells me it is not as simple as just that.
I did not find a way to cut the strings. I asked someone for help. Something for help.
He bargained once again with that entity of his. And now, and I sort of gesture my chin to the hand situation.
And I would have had my hands under control if someone hadn't cut them off. Why did you cut them off?
They were not your hands. They were the hands of that thing.
It's given back everything I've given it over the years.
Has it?
It's been remarkably kind, all things considered. It has not taken anything I could not afford to lose. Anything that it did not need me to keep in order to serve it.
Kindness. You think it's been giving you a kindness?
It certainly hasn't been giving me a curse that you seem to think it has.
Just biding my time.
There was a time, Mr. Grey, when it would have been very unwise for you to have confessed to making deals with entities in my presence.
I'm proud of you, Val. You've grown as a person. However, do you think we can perhaps focus on rectifying these?
I do not have any expertise in writing your witchcraft, Mr. Grey.
I was more thinking something surgical, but
After Mari has kind of herded Cyrus and Periwinkle out of the room to go find some clothing or something to put on, so this way they're not quite as naked as babes, she will come back in to be in time for that part of the conversation and timidly offer, I have put together parts for La Regina. I've had to replace parts before. But I don't know if it works in this circumstance. It has usually been of wood and other inanimate materials. I don't know if I could transplant the human flesh back with any accuracy. I don't want to hurt you.
This is madness.
It is.
Even were you able to reattach the hands, Mr. Grey, you would not be able to use them. They would be dead appendages at the end of your arms.
Perhaps instead I can find a way to control these. You seem to be able to use my hands sufficiently well, Mr. Grey?
And he probably for the first time realized he used the hands. So it would appear, if you're all right with, well, what was the term you used? Disgusting the human body parts?
Squishy. Squishy is the term, I believe. But yes, also disgusting. I would rather that than you bleed out.
Very fair.
But I will have you know, those hands are much stronger than you're used to. So do be careful. And I will learn how to function these properly. And I think they start to lose their murder grip.
If I may, and Daymond would take the thread that would be where the major blood vessel to the hand goes. I'd like to pull at that on both of your hands and tie it in a bow just around the wrist, securing them in place more permanently.
I should assume this does not mean I am under the strings of your master.
Seeing as it only deals in souls, you have nothing to offer it. Unless that has changed. A hopeful look appears on Daymond Gray's face.
It has. That would be news to me as well.
He mourns. This is new.
Do you share that information, Mr. Gray?
Oh, Marybelle. And Daymond would hug you. I'm so sorry for your loss.
My hands are easily attached and reattached. I do not see this as the same loss that you see.
No, not that. Did you not recently learn of your creator's passing?
I think Marybelle freezes at that and just subconsciously in the hug, the hands, her new hands, go up and hug back. Yes, that is true. There are some, and I think you see the tears well up again. There are some new developments. However, I have everything under control. And the tears are just pouring down.
Marybelle, it's all right to admit that you're not okay.
I am perfectly okay. There is no sadness in this death. This should be celebrated.
If that is how you wish to mourn them.
I do not wish to mourn. I do not know what you are speaking of, and I think her body is racked with sobs, even though she doesn't recognize it. Val, please tell Mr. Gray to stop talking.
I am at a loss, Marybelle, for what to do in this situation. I believe I will do my best to make ready for Kemuel by myself.
Can someone take us home? And Cyrus enters in wearing the weirdest combination of clothing, just gleamed from wherever they could find it, like from random rooms. And Periwinkle will also follow and like be wearing something from somebody else's room. I think it's more of like a kind of like a like looser garb. And actually, I think they probably like wandered into like the remnants of where some of Kemuel's old outfits were like binned, and like they kind of dug in there, and like Periwinkle's wearing something like wildly unique, and then like Cyrus is just wearing like kind of again weird cast-offs that fit him, but yeah, he's asking to be brought home. Can someone please call us a cab?
Sure, it's quite possible to hail a cab. We have rather more pressing matters to attend to at the moment. I apologize if I seem abrupt.
Understandable. Things seem to be quite strange. I have vague memories of things happening, and quite frightening things, as a matter of fact. I hope you're all well. I do recall that you were injured. I'm so sorry. In our townhouse. Are you better?
For the time being, yes.
Well, with that, the day seems to be dawning. We shall bid you adieu. And I'll just do a, slight nod. And Periwinkle will bow or curtsy, depending on the outfit. And, they'll head out. Dawn has arrived. Where, just kind of as a close, where do we find you, Treasure, at the end of 7 Dials?
I think you maybe as the sky starts to lighten, you see Treasure and Matthew walking hand in hand back in the direction of Hargrave House.
Okay. And with that, 7 mummers at 7 dials is resolved. Okay. And I am putting the rewards as well as the instruments into the Discord chat. Rewards. Casey Conroy. No, you remember which one was Casey?
We didn't have him.
Okay.
He didn't shot.
All right, so we're going to do that. Mrs. O'Sullivan didn't make an appearance in this one either. So we've got a mummer's mask, describe it and add it to your personal quarters. A basket of Bridget Ryan's famous hot cross buns, add it to your personal quarters. A caterwaul print of one of Hargrave House's adventures, added to your personal quarters. When this item is used, the player may choose which threat is described and what sensationalist, erroneous details were added. And finally, Beelzebub's fiddle or the monkey stick, added to your personal quarters. Only one of the fiddle or the monkey stick can be chosen. And I listed what the fiddle or the monkey stick does. All right. So, magic fiddle allows the person playing the instrument to compel everyone listening into a dancing mania that will not break until dawn. There is 1 use in total, but it can affect up to 7 people at once. Or you can use the monkey stick, which banging on the stick on the ground will cause a single person to focus intently on what you are saying or doing, ignoring all else around them for a moment. There are 7 uses in total. Okay? So, of those 4. I'm going to take away the top 2. Do that. Oh,
Since
thank you.
There are 2 that refer to recurring side characters that may or may not come into play depending on the game. I am also going to add in a memento. So standard memento, have another hunter, describe it, blah blah blah.
There we go. I'm going to take out the 2 side characters and then put in the memento in the Discord thing.
If no one else knows what they want, I will take the mask.
Okay.
Anonymous mask. I think it's a mask that's fashioned to look like the face of a red dragon.
Nice. Okay.
That's sick.
Nice. All right. Go ahead and add that to your personal quarters.
I will take the hot cross buns.
Okay.
Delicious. I can't eat, but they're delicious.
I guess I'll take Beelzebub's fiddle if that's okay, since he actually did, or Treasure actually did snag it, kind of.
Cool. All right. Take it.
In that case, I'll grab one of the caterwaul prints of a Hargrave House adventure.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Shoreditch Slugger. It is, oddly enough, embellished that we have defeated the Slugger with Val in boxing gloves, knocking the Slugger out, Treasure and Kemuel off in the side, masked with a fan. Marybelle's depicted as human, which is wrong, and Daymond Grey just isn't in the picture at all.
So, going to Dawn questions real quick. All right. Hunters did answer a question. Hunters did resolve a threat. Boy, howdy, I'm having trouble talking tonight. Why? I don't know. All right. Did you experience an night? We didn't do it, so no, that doesn't come into play at all. Did you engage? All right. So Factotum. Did you engage in a petty reprisal of someone who angered your employer at all, like in the cycle?
No.
Yeah,
No.
we had so much shit going down, but no, you didn't get a chance to do that. Did you ensure your employer got credit for your triumphs?
I tried to do that, or at least that I took credit for
that.
the failure.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, you did try to give credit to Daymond, so you can take that point. So go ahead and put that into your advancement track, and then take your advancement as needed, and then go ahead and clear your Dawn questions and change your elective ones if you so choose. Daymond answered a question, resolved a threat, no echo in the night. Did you make love to a dark entity because it felt good?
No, I don't believe so.
Not this time. Amazing. I'm so sorry. Did
you apologize for that?
Did you counsel someone using your supernatural affinities as the basis for that advice?
I mean, I did learn that Marybelle's creator died and comforted them.
Yeah.
Based solely on the whisperings of a madman in my ear.
Hey. Yeah, take that point, add them to your advancement track, and then clear your Dawn questions and change the elective ones if you so choose. Okay? Facsimile. Answered a question, resolved a threat, no echo in the night. Did you do your best to blend into London society to avoid arousing suspicion of your otherness? At
in
any
our
point
day
in the cycle.
phase, that was when I was pretending to be a kid, right?
Yes. Go ahead and take it. Yep. Did you attempt to convince someone that your experiences of the world are of equal value despite your mechanical nature?
Not particularly, aside from being mad that everyone was upset that Cyrus and Periwinkle were dolls. What's so wrong with being a doll? But I don't think it really counts.
You were talking with cats. No. But take the points that you did have, add to your advancement track, and then clear your Dawn questions, and then change them if you so choose. Okay? All right. And Val. Answered a question. Resolved a threat. No echo in the night. Did you defend your
I
vows?
had that checked from last time. The echo
Oh.
in the night.
Well, go ahead and take that from the point from last time if you didn't get a chance to take it before. Did you defend your vows at the expense of yourself or others?
I kind of feel like in just being so rigidly determined to bring Mari back, and that could expose us. That kind of exposed us directly to the danger of the mastermind, because they are now out for revenge.
Yeah. And I feel like that one blame, I mean, granted it was indirect, but I feel like
yeah, somebody blamed me for
yes,
something earlier. I think it was Mr.
that
Gray.
you making a promise. Yep, you making a promise, like, kept them getting Hargrave House into trouble. Yeah. All right. Yeah, take that point. Did you veer from your vows and punish yourself for it?
No.
No.
I'm still trying to hit that one sometime.
Yeah, so take the points that you did get and then clear your dawn questions and then change your elective ones if you so choose. All right. Okay, if you got any advancements, like, go ahead and mark them and such. If you owe any masks, which I have, Marybelle, you did yours, and then Treasure, it's like we have to discuss the whole darkened threshold thing. I have to take a look at it, but no big deal. I don't recall.
I'm going to mark one of my advancements is write a custom adapter for one of your doll parts.
Ooh.
And I'm going to write one that is based on this hand swapping scenario. I just got to think about the details of it, because I feel like if so far the appendages that I've been removing were my hands, I feel like now Daymond Gray should be able to do that pretty easily. Once it heals up, just pop them off. They can go wander around, but we'll have to figure that one out. Right. How that's going to work.
That's going to be interesting. For sure. Okay. Well, I think I covered everything. I mean, that could be dealt with next time. But, yeah, next time is covering the assault in earnest. Because come day phase, we're going into full-on, you'll have signs that they're coming, and you will have to prepare. You'll definitely have to prepare. And in which case you'll have to bring everything into bear, information move your hearts out, and then we're gonna have to make that one like totally encapsulated, but we'll see how this looks for next time. But regardless, stars and wishes, you know how this works. God, what an episode. Jesus. Whomever wants to start, because God knows.
I'm gonna catch up with the recording, and I will do some stars and wishes asynchronously in the Discord then, I think, because I missed a chunk in the middle, and I've also got to knock off bang on time tonight, so I'm gonna just duck out at this point.
Yeah, that's fine.
But thank you all. It was fun.
No, thank you.
This one I didn't take too many notes because things were moving so fast and it was so much happening. I have notes for this is a Mark and Mads duo star. Treasure saying, "Do you love them?" That whole scene with Matthew, but the "Do you love them?" and Mads responding, very, very emotionally, "I will." And then Treasure responding to that. That whole scene was so good. It was so good. Really big stars for that. I didn't really expect it to be so touching, and it really was. So that was really nice. For Rob, who just left, but I'm gonna go get this place ready for the big siege that's coming. You all just do whatever it is that you're doing. Just full on regretting ever being at Hargrave House was hilarious. And Jeremy, the idea of the hands coming to life on Marybelle was awesome. That was brilliant, and evil and wonderful. I also loved when you said, "I'm proud of you, Val. You've grown as a person." Just so sarcastic. Like you didn't get punched. Val's not the punching type, but still, it was very good. Also, I really loved your use of the getting the broadsheet, the caterwaul print of one of our adventures, and the detail added of Hargrave House beating the slugger is perfect use of that, especially considering what we're going to be walking into. That was very clever gameplay. So good job. And wishes. I don't know what this is going to happen like. I'm really excited to see a siege on Hargrave House. I keep saying siege. It's not called that. Siege is from Ghost of El Paso. This is
An
the
assault.
attack on Hargrave House. Assault, yes.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, me too, because, yeah, this is the first time I remember running it this way. So, yeah, this is from the backer kit preview stuff.
Mhm.
So we'll see how this goes. Yep.
Yeah, it's still in playtest mode, and I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of this is in playtest mode.
Playtest
So
mode,
it's
and then
gonna
like
be...
going by the seat of my pants. So whatever.
Totally, yeah. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome.
I'll go, I guess. I want to give a star to Jeremy. I thought it was a really fun reversal. Maybe to Jeremy and Mads both, I guess. It was a really fun reversal, that moment when Daymond was sort of taunting the dark entities and they were getting fed up. That was like a really cool twist. And leading into that whole like amazing description of the rites of salt and smoke and all the insanity that followed after that. And generally, Mads just a big star for all of the creepy creature voices. Prince Rupert II and the Dark Entity and Beelzebub, just like very, all very spooky, but in unique ways. Amanda, it was like a banana session, but I think a couple of the character moments that I really enjoyed was Marybelle immediately saying, "I knew she couldn't be trusted," or something like that, with the revelation about Hetty, and then remarking about how Daymond hadn't taken them into regard, rather just as if they were a piece of furniture. I thought so many of Marybelle's sort of description, or Marybelle's language felt very like tactile, very kinesthetic, like, which kind of played in interesting ways to what happened later in the session. And star for Rob, also with an interesting sort of reversal of Val being immediately suspicious of Daymond when the crown came up missing. And then later making the comment about how there was a time when it wouldn't have been wise to discuss dealings with dark entities. And just generally getting so fed up by the end, like Val being just done. Which is, I'm like super excited to see Slugger, Kemuel, and what that turns into.
Star for Rob first, because he's not here to deny it, but Val has grown as a character from that. Like I know I said it in the moment in somewhat jest, but Val has very much grown from a very stoic enigma of a knight to a delightful character with wants that they struggle with and needs that they have to do but are reluctant to. And it's been a delight to see Val grow. Mark, on the opposite note, it was a delight to see you return to form with a mask. It was everything I wanted in a treasure mask. It was vivid, it was descriptive. You took your time with what needed to be expounded upon. And I thought that you being a servant of Kemuel rather than of Daymond was such a good way to look at it. From what we already know of treasure, I cannot wait I know we're not going to get all of them, but I cannot wait for some more of your masks of the past if we have time for them. Amanda, starve for a private message you sent, which, just to abridge here, was essentially the words PvP and a question mark. Like, willing to go for that right at, like, I know that was something you were interested in when we started, and I think we hit that, and I think we hit that more so than you ever possibly could have imagined. Good. It was very good. And Mads, for one of those night phases that we didn't really have a plan going into it, it was very nebulous. Oh, I guess we'll solve 7 dials, and I guess we'll prep for Hargrave House, or prep Hargrave House. This was remarkably well done. Everything felt well put together. The reactions to our successes and failures, spot on. It was a wonderful session. Delightful. And I suppose as a wish, Mark, the exact same thing I wished for Kemuel. Can you just like write all of your masks up and just like bind them and just send them over? That'd be great. Thanks.
Phew,
I'd
that's
like a
funny.
copy of that too, please.
I'd like them all. My gosh. I mean, like, they're all so rich. I mean, descriptions, I mean, like, I have nothing to worry about for you all, because regardless of masks or paint the scenes or just all out, I guess, world building, because I mean, that's really kind of like what it's part of, like whether you're doing flashbacks in your masks or like, you know, what's going to happen, what you imagine will happen, for your characters or in the world itself. I feel like, you know, just adding to the fiction constantly and just very good storytelling all around. Amanda, I just loved Marybelle's, like, it's essentially, it was a kind of like a monologue talking with the cats, essentially. Even though, I mean, of course, like, was talking with Prince Rupert too, but still, I mean, like, it felt like, you know, you were still kind of wrestling with yourself, and it just felt really good to see that coming from a character that had been so, not just mechanical, but just so like insistent upon being the otherness, but now falling into, like, especially after the Fragrant Void, and being human and just being like, no, I'm not. But you kind of are. Just a little bit, a little tiny bit. So that was a really, really good portrayal. Really appreciated that a lot. And then Mark between the mask, which again, as has been said before, like, very descriptive and very, very rich in detail for previous life. I mean, like, you know, that we got to see a peek into. Very cinematic. I mean, like, I was like picturing it in my head. I'm like, yeah, I'm following along. Okay. Okay. Oh shit. Billing shimmering cloud. We know what that means. God damn it. All right. Got you. You know, that was very good. And then, like, you know, just your gentle handling of Matthew as Beelzebub, I mean, you know, made it dangerous because, you know, you were also dealing with a child who was very emotional, so it could have turned into something really ugly, which, you know, if you ran with the failure on the fiddle, I mean, yeah, you would have been dancing and then you would become part of the mummers, and that wouldn't have been well for anybody, really. Probably could have found a way out of it, maybe, but it's still dangerous. Um, and then Jeremy, just, I love when you describe how your magic works, especially when your magic succeeds. I mean, between saving treasure, like, you know, for all those episodes ago, and then now this with, like, you know, getting Cyrus and Periwinkle to become human, like, you know, watching that process, and then just being so descriptive of, like, okay, this is the things with um, yeah, it was with the more silver than the Silver threads. I can't even remember it now because it was just like, again, so rich and like,
And
makes
the doll
like
part and
the doll part and then the blood, making the ducal blood pale and all this. I mean, like, oh my God. I was just like, oh, this is so beautiful. So poetic. Goddamn. So yeah, just beautiful stuff. And I can always appreciate that from you. Oh, so good. And, yeah, I mean, like, and just going along with it too. I mean, like, with all the mayhem, Jesus, getting your hands cut off and then just like, just running with it. What the hell? I don't even know what this is going to look like. You guys are like, just turning into literal Frankenstein monsters at the moment. I mean, like, I don't know. Okay, sure. I mean, and Kemuel's coming. So, yeah, sure, run with it. I want to see what happens. And then Rob, I mean, the stoicism of Val is always surprising, but then like their reactions to things still in their experience of their past and their values. Again, like, shouldn't be mentioning this whole entity thing in front of me, and then the whole like, I made a promise, although like that was just indirectly mentioned by Daymond, and then there's the other thing that somebody else mentioned, but yeah, I mean, like, again, like, just Val's reactions still within their value set is just still amazing to watch, and they're supposed to be a person at a time, which is, you would imagine that would come into conflict with all the things that they know and all the things that they do. But I guess, like, deep in the heart of things, I mean, there's always something grounding Val inside, and that is still, it's still wonderful to see, because then they have a foundation. They have a foundation that they're not willing to give up. So there is some growth, but yet there's still some unwillingness to budge. And I also wanted to star the scene with Marybelle and James Allardyce. Holy shit, that was hilariously funny. And you did give me a star for the impromptu rambling, and as I said offline, I said, the impromptu rambling is just like, like the ADHD coming through. It's the same exact thing. So, yay. It's all good. All right, so I will leave you guys to it. Happy gaming for the rest of the week.
Before we sign off, I just want to give, like, this is more than even just a star. This is like a huge kudos to Jeremy for going along with a little bit of, PC drama, such as me chopping off your hands.
That's a little drama?
It's a little.
What's a lot?
I don't know. We could explore that. But I know that that kind of thing can be really hard to deal with in a game. So I really appreciate going along with it, being super game for it, and having. I thought it was a great scene. I had a lot of fun with that. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Hey.
Awesome. So I see that we're going to be missing Daymond on the 17th, which is next week, but I'm going to say that even though I usually just don't play if there's 2 players missing, I'm going to say we're probably going to take a miss on next week, just because it's like, for the assault, I would like everybody there. Everybody should be there helping out. So yeah, we'll take a break for a week, and then we'll come back on the 24th. And then we will do the assault then. All right. And then go from there. See what that looks like. All righty.
Oh, that's a wish too. Maybe some people from the Fragrant Void will also be there.
It depends on, hey, it depends on, like, how well
How
you
many
guys...
voices can we make Mads do in one session?
Jeremy? I mean, like, you've been like, I think Darkened Mirrors has been my best campaign for the most NPCs introduced in an episode. I mean,
I can't remember exactly how many I've done.
Oh God.
In one scene. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, just because the library doesn't have that particular volume. No, you cannot argue that with me.
Yeah, so I've had many NPCs introduced in a particular scene.
Mads did an entire scene where the journalists
Oh
from
yes,
from Three Mills Island,
Ed, and Natty.
yes, we're all talking over each other.
Yes, that was fun.
So
Cause
none of them
had an engagement. Or didn't even tell his girlfriend he was going to ask her to be engaged. Look, I don't have a ring, all right?
He wouldn't even tell her. No. He was supposed to, but he didn't.
Yeah. So
and those three followed a character around
they followed the
for
legacy around, which
the
was
legacy
hilarious.
for 3 or 4 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of like in Dragon Age when you're walking around and the side characters kind of banter in the background at you and
Yes.
around you. Yeah, that's
It
incredible.
was a BioWare companion moment.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh my god, that's amazing. And like, I don't know what you particularly thought about it, Jeremy, but I particularly loved. Oh, and you've got some lunch for me. Oh, that's splendid. You are a good one, aren't you? My particular legacy, who was such an ass. So, Rosicrucius Armstrong. Yes.
So good.
Yes. But anyway, yes. That's me and my what do you call it? Multiple personalities? Okay, great. So, anyway, you guys
You're
have a
Mads
wonderful
of many voices.
That's beautiful. I love practicing. You guys have a wonderful couple weeks, and then I will see you for the assault. All right. So, and then Mark offline we'll discuss like the whole Darkened Threshold thing. Okay. So, yeah, take care, and again, happy gaming. Thank you so much. All right. See y'all. Bye.